At 65 years old, I overheard my son tell his wife, "Just use my mom's card. She has about $150,000 stashed away." It was in that exact moment that I realized that the 18 years I'd spent living in their house hadn't been a home. They had been a silent prison. What I did over the next 48 hours sent shockwaves through my entire family and changed my life forever. But before I get into that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and drop a comment below. Where are you watching this video from? We love to see how far our stories travel. I was peeling potatoes over the kitchen sink when I heard it. The voice of my son, Michael, cut through the thin wall separating the kitchen from the living room, and every single word felt like a shard of glass slicing through the air. "Honey, just go ahead and use my mom's card. She's got something like 150 grand just sitting in her account." My fingers froze around the half-peeled potato. The paring knife slipped and clattered into the sink with a metallic sound that seemed to echo through the entire kitchen. I felt my heart take off like a startled bird, beating so hard I thought it might burst right out of my chest. 70 years of life. 45 of those years spent working as a seamstress, a cleaner, a cook. Every single dollar of that $150,000 had a story attached to it. It was made of blood, sweat, sleepless nights, aching backs, and swollen hands. And my son had just offered it up as if it were his own spare change. "Are you sure? Won't she be mad?" The voice of Jessica, my daughter-in-law, had that sugary, fake tone I'd come to know so well over the last 18 years of living with them. "My mom won't say a thing. She lives here for free, eats our food, uses our electricity, our water. It's the least she can do, helping out when we need it. Besides, she's old now. What does she need all that money for at her age anyway?" Every word was another hammer blow to my chest. Old. For free. The least she can do is if I were just dead weight, an obligation, a burden they carried out of the sheer goodness of their hearts. I gripped the edge of the sink, my hands trembling, my vision blurred, but I refused to let the tears fall. Not yet. I had cried far too much in that house over the past 18 years. Ever since Michael convinced me to sell my little 2-bedroom apartment to help him with the down payment on the very house where I was now treated like a stranger. Wow! $150,000. That's enough to completely remodel the kitchen and even replace all the living room furniture. Jessica spoke with an excitement that made my stomach turn. "Exactly. You deserve a new kitchen, honey. And I've been wanting to replace that old couch. I've always wanted a real leather one." They kept talking, happily planning how to spend my life savings, laughing, dreaming of renovations and new furniture. And there I was, standing in the kitchen, peeling potatoes for their lunch, invisible, insignificant, reduced to nothing more than a bank account. I took a deep, shaky breath. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked slowly to the kitchen doorway. I stood there for a moment, just watching them on the sofa. Michael had his phone in his hand, probably already looking up prices for furniture. Jessica was leaning against him, smiling, pointing at the screen. My son. My only son. The little boy I raised all by myself after his father walked out on us when he was just 3 years old. The boy I worked 3 jobs for just to send him to a good school. The boy who graduated as an engineer because I sewed clothes until 4 in the morning for years to pay for his private university tuition. Now that boy was a 40-year-old man who had just called me old and useless. I slipped back into the kitchen before they saw me. I finished peeling the potatoes on autopilot, my movements mechanical. I put them on to boil. I prepared the rice, the beans, the chicken. My body went through the motions while my mind was a raging storm. 18 years. 18 years living in this house, in the smallest room, the one that barely fit a twin bed and a small wardrobe. 18 years of cooking, cleaning, washing, ironing. 18 years of handing over my entire monthly pension check of $300. Without a single question, Michael always said it was to help with expenses. but I knew he made a good living as an engineer, and Jessica worked at an expensive boutique, 18 years of feeling like an intruder in the house I had helped buy. Because yes, when I sold my apartment and gave Michael the $40,000, he promised it was a loan. "I'll pay you back in 2 years, Mom, as soon as I get my promotion." That was 18 years ago. The promotion came and went. The money never returned, and whenever I dared to bring it up, Michael would get irritated. "Mom, you live here, don't you? That's worth a lot more than 40 grand. Stop being so cheap." Cheap. Me, the woman who gave every penny she had for this son, was cheap. Lunch was ready. I set everything on the table. Just like I always did, Michael and Jessica came and sat down without so much as a thank you. It was routine. I was the invisible housekeeper. "Mom, this chicken is a little tough," Michael said, chewing with a look of disapproval. "I'm sorry, dear. Next time, I'll let it marinate longer." Jessica rolled her eyes. She tried to be discreet, but not discreet enough. I saw it. I always saw everything. I ate in silence, each bite feeling heavy in my throat. 1,000 thoughts were racing through my head. I had to do something. I couldn't go on living like this. I couldn't let them use my money as if it belonged to them. After lunch, I washed the dishes while they went back to the living room. I heard Jessica say she was going to the mall that afternoon. My heart started to race. She was going to use my card. They were really going to do it. I locked myself in my tiny room. I sat on the edge of the bed and picked up my phone with trembling hands. I dialed the number for my bank, a number I'd memorized years ago. "National Bank, good afternoon. This is Fernanda speaking. How can I help you?" "Good afternoon. I need to block my card immediately." My voice came out steady, far steadier than I felt. "Of course, ma'am. Could you please provide your full name and social security number for identification?" I gave her all my information, answered the security questions, and confirmed my date of birth. Every second felt like an eternity. "Understood, Mrs. Eleanor. Was there a problem with the card? Was it lost or stolen?" "Let's just say someone is attempting to use it without my authorization." "Perfect. I am blocking it right now. As of this moment, no transactions can be processed. Would you like to request a new card?" "Yes, but please don't send it to this address. I'll pick it up in person at the branch next week." "No problem at all. Your card was officially blocked at 2:17 p.m. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" "No, thank you very much." I hung up and clutched the phone to my chest. My heart was still hammering away, but there was a new feeling mixed in with the fear. Was it relief? Empowerment? I didn't know what to call it, but for the first time in years, I had made a decision that was entirely my own. I sat there for nearly an hour, just breathing, thinking, processing. I heard Jessica getting ready to leave, the click-clack of her heels on the hardwood floor, the rustling of her purse, the jingle of her car keys. "Bye, honey. I'm off to the mall to pick up a few things." "Your mom let me borrow her card," she called out cheerfully. "Borrow? What an interesting word to use for theft. Great, go for it," Michael replied. The front door slammed shut. The car engine started. The sound faded away down the street, and I just sat there on my single bed in my tiny room, waiting. It didn't take long. Less than an hour later, my phone began to ring. It was Michael. I let the first call go to voicemail. He called again and again and again. On the 5th call, I answered. "Mom, where are you?" His voice was agitated, nervous. "In my room, dear. Why?" "Jessica just called me from the mall. She says your card is being declined. Did you block it?" Silence. A long, heavy silence stretched between us. I could hear his impatient breathing on the other end of the line, waiting. "I did," I finally replied, with a calmness that astonished me. "What do you mean you blocked it? Why would you do that?" "Because it's my card, Michael, my money, and I did not authorize anyone to use it." "Mom, don't start with this now." Jessica is standing at the checkout counter, completely embarrassed. She's already picked out a bunch of stuff. The sales clerk is waiting. Do you have any idea how ridiculous this is? I have an idea that you two tried to spend my money without even asking me. That's what's ridiculous. Stop being so dramatic. It was just a few things for the house. The house where you also live, in case you forgot. I took a deep breath. I was not going to scream. I was not going to lose my composure. Michael, I heard you two talking this morning. I heard you say I live here for free, that I'm old and don't need that much money. I heard you planning to spend $150,000 as if it belonged to you. Silence on the other end. A different kind of silence. The silence of someone who's been caught red-handed. Mom, It wasn't exactly like that. It was exactly like that, son. Every single word. And no, I am not unblocking the card. Tell Jessica to come home. The three of us need to talk. I hung up before he could reply. My hands were shaking, but a new strength was being born inside of me, a strength I didn't know I still possessed. Half an hour later, I heard Jessica's car pull into the driveway. The front door was thrown open with such force that it hit the wall. Her heels clicked furiously across the floor. "Where is your mother?" Her voice was dripping with venom. "Jessica, calm down. Let's just talk about this." Michael tried to soothe her. "Calm down? Calm down? Your mother just put me through the most humiliating experience of my life. There were like 20 people in that store watching the clerk try the card over and over. I had to leave everything there and just run out." I got up from the bed. I smoothed my clothes, took a deep breath, and opened my bedroom door. I walked to the living room where they both were. Jessica glared at me, her eyes filled with rage. Michael was sitting on the couch, looking deeply uncomfortable. "We need to talk," I said, keeping my voice steady. Talk? Jessica took a step toward me. "You humiliated me. You made me look like a fool in front of everyone." "I didn't humiliate you, Jessica. You tried to spend my money without my permission. That's called theft." "Theft? We're a family. Families share. Families don't steal. Families ask. Families respect. And you two didn't ask me for anything. You just took my card as if I didn't exist." "Mom, stop it. Jessica was just going to buy a few things we really need, new furniture, a kitchen remodel, things to improve the house," Michael intervened. $150,000 worth of furniture and remodeling? Does that seem reasonable to you, Michael? You have that money just sitting there. You're not using it for anything. We work. We pay the bills for this house. We support you. It's only fair that we get to use some of that money. Those words. We support you, as if I were a burden, an obligation, a favor they were doing for me. "You support me?" My voice rose higher than I intended. "I give you my entire pension check every month, $300 that I never see again. I cook, I clean, I do the laundry, I iron. I do everything in this house without receiving a single cent. How is that you supporting me?" "That $300 barely covers your food," Jessica retorted with disdain. "Then let me go. Let me buy my own place and stop being a burden to you." I saw Michael and Jessica exchange a quick look, a look I couldn't decipher at the moment, but that I would understand perfectly later. "Mom, nobody said you were a burden." "Don't be so dramatic," Michael said, but his voice lacked conviction. "You said I'm old and don't need money. You said I live here for free. If that's not calling me a burden, then what is it?" "Look, Eleanor," Jessica crossed her arms. "Let's be honest. You have nowhere to go. You don't have other children. You have no family. Your friends are all in the same situation as you, or worse. What are you going to do? Live alone in some sad little apartment? Eat alone? Die alone?" Her words were like a series of slaps, each one calculated to hurt, to make me feel small, useless, optionless. "I would rather be alone in peace than accompanied and miserable," I replied, and my own bravery surprised me. How dramatic. No one is making you miserable. We give you everything. But of course, nothing is ever enough for you, Jessica said with a sarcastic sneer. "You don't give me anything. I pay with my pension, with my work, and with my dignity. And this conversation is over. I am not changing my mind. I turned around and walked back to my room. I locked the door and leaned against it, listening to the two of them continue to argue outside. Jessica was blaming Michael for being weak with me. Michael was trying to calm her down. Both of them were talking about me as if I were a problem to be solved. I sat on the bed and picked up my phone. There was only one person I could call at that moment. My friend Rose, a companion for decades, the only one who truly knew me. "Eleanor, is everything okay? It's almost 9 o'clock at night," Rose answered, her voice full of concern. And that's when I broke down. I told her everything. From the conversation I'd overheard in the morning to the fight that had just happened, I cried on the phone like I hadn't cried in years. Rose just let me talk, let me pour it all out, without interrupting. "Eleanor, listen to me carefully," she said when I finally ran out of words. "Tomorrow morning you are going to pack a bag and you are coming to my house. You can stay here as long as you need to while you look for an apartment. You cannot stay in that house any longer. It's killing your soul." "Rose, I can't impose on you like that. Your apartment is small." "I have a sofa bed in the living room that's more comfortable than staying in a house where you're not valued. Tomorrow, Eleanor, it's not a request, it's an order." I couldn't sleep that night. I just lay there on the twin bed, staring at the low ceiling of my tiny room, replaying every moment in my mind that had brought me to this point. I remembered selling my apartment. A small apartment, but it was mine. 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. I had bought it with so much effort. When I was 42, I made payments on it for 15 years. Every room had been furnished bit by bit, with sacrifice and planning. But when Michael married Jessica and said they wanted a bigger house, that they didn't have the money for a down payment, I didn't think twice. I sold my apartment for $40,000 and gave it all to him. "It's a loan, Mom. I'll pay you back with interest in 2 years, I promise." His eyes were shining with hope that day. 2 years turned into 5, then 10, then 15, and now 18. The loan became a favor. It became, "You have a roof over your head and food. That's worth more than $40,000. As if my home, my achievement, was only worth room and board. When I moved into their house, Jessica showed me the room, the smallest one of all. It used to be a walk-in closet they had converted. "It's a bit tight, but it's just temporary, Eleanor. You'll want your own space again soon," she had said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Temporary. 18 years of temporary. When the sun came up, I got out of bed earlier than usual. I showered, got dressed, and started to pack. I didn't have many things. Simple clothes, a few pairs of shoes, old photographs, important documents. Everything fit into 2 old suitcases. I made breakfast, just like always. I left everything ready on the table, but this time, I didn't stay to serve it. I went back to my room and waited. I heard Michael and Jessica wake up. I heard their footsteps around the house, their low voices talking. Neither of them knocked on my door to see how I was, just like always. Michael left for work at 7:30. Jessica left at 8. As soon as her car disappeared down the street, I grabbed my suitcases and walked out the front door. I left the house keys on the small table in the entryway. Next to them, I placed a note I had written during the night. "Michael, I'm leaving. I can no longer live in a house where my only value is my money. Thank you for these 18 years, but I need to reclaim my dignity. When I'm settled in my new place, I'll send you the address. I love you, but I need to love myself more. Mom." I called an Uber and waited on the curb with my 2 suitcases. My next-door neighbor, Mr. Henderson, was watering his plants and saw me. "Good morning, Eleanor. Going on a trip?" "Something like that, Mr. Henderson. Something like that." The car arrived in 5 minutes. The driver helped me with my bags. As we drove away, I looked out the window at the house where I had lived for 18 years. A beautiful, spacious, well-kept house. But it was never my home, it was my prison. Rose was waiting for me at the entrance of her building when I arrived. She hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe, and in that hug, I let out all the tears I had been holding back. "You're here. You're safe now," she whispered, stroking my hair. Rose's apartment was indeed small, a living room, one bedroom, a kitchen, and a bathroom. But it was clean, organized, and most importantly, filled with peace. There was no tension in the air, no judgmental looks or cruel words waiting to hurt me. The sofa bed is all yours. It's no luxury, but it's comfortable. And this home is your home for as long as you need it, Rose said as she showed me where I could put my things. We spent the morning getting me settled. Rose cleared space in her closet for my clothes. She showed me where everything was in the kitchen. She made me feel welcome in 1,000 small, meaningful ways. Around noon, my phone started ringing. It was Michael. I didn't answer. He called again and again and again. On the 10th call, he left a message. Mom, where are you? I came home for lunch and you're not here. I saw your note. Please call me, I'm worried." Worried? How interesting that he was worried now. Rose looked at me, a question in her eyes. "Are you going to answer?" "Not yet. I need to think clearly first. I need to know what I'm going to do before I talk to him." I turned off my phone. I needed silence, peace time to process everything and decide on my next steps. That afternoon, Rose and I sat on her small balcony with cups of coffee. From there, you could see the city moving, life happening down below. "You know what hurts the most, Rose?" I said after a long silence. "It's not the money they tried to spend, it's not even the disrespect. What hurts the most is realizing that I spent 18 years trying to win back my son's love, and now I see that his love was always conditional on what I could give him." Rose took my hand in hers. Her hands were wrinkled like mine, marked by the years, but they were strong and warm. "Eleanor, you didn't spend 18 years trying to win his love. You gave 18 years of unconditional love. That's very different. You're not the problem. The problem is that Michael and that woman didn't know how to value what they had. But I'm his mother. Mothers are supposed to sacrifice for their children." Mothers love their children, yes, but children are also supposed to love their mothers. Love isn't a one-way street, Eleanor, and sacrifice has a limit. When the sacrifice is killing your soul, it's not love anymore. It's self-destruction. She was right. She was always right. Rose had been my friend since we worked together in a textile factory over 40 years ago. She knew me better than anyone. Now, you need to think about yourself, about what Eleanor wants, about what Eleanor needs to be happy, Rose continued. "I want my own apartment. I want my own place where no one makes me feel like I'm in the way, where I can have my coffee in the morning without feeling like I'm using someone else's electricity. Then that's what we're going to get. Tomorrow we start apartment hunting." That night, I slept on Rose's sofa bed. It was the best night's sleep I'd had in years. There was no tension, no fear of hearing footsteps or irritated voices. There was only peace. On Saturday morning, I woke up without an alarm. It was almost 9 o'clock when I opened my eyes. The last time I'd slept that late was... I couldn't even remember. Rose was already in the kitchen making coffee. The smell brought a sense of warmth I hadn't felt in a very long time. "Good morning. Hot coffee and toaster on the way. Today is the day we find your new home," she said with a cheerful smile. We had coffee, chatting about everything and nothing, no pressure, no complaints, just two old friends sharing a quiet moment. Afterward, we got ready and went out. Rose had scheduled 4 apartment viewings for that day, all within my budget. The first one was too dark, with small windows that barely let in any light. The second was in a rundown building that smelled of damp. The third was perfect, but it was on the 5th floor with no elevator, and my knees wouldn't be able to handle that climb every day. But the fourth one stole my heart the moment I walked in. It was an apartment on the 3rd floor of a well-maintained building. It had a living room with a large window overlooking a piece of the park, a functional open-plan kitchen, a spacious bedroom, and a clean bathroom. It wasn't large, maybe 650 square feet, but it was cozy, bright, and had a wonderful energy. "How much is he asking?" I asked the real estate agent showing us the property. $65,000. It includes a parking spot and a storage unit in the basement. The monthly HOA fee is $50. $65,000 I could pay for it in cash and still have $85,000 left over to live on comfortably for emergencies, to have peace of mind in my final years. Can I see it again? I walked through each room, imagining my life there. My little bed in the bedroom, my few clothes in the built-in closet, my photographs on the walls. I pictured myself making coffee in that kitchen, sitting by that window to read, sleeping without being startled awake. I saw my future in those empty walls, and that future was bright. "I'll take it. I want to buy it," I said with a firmness that surprised even me. The agent smiled broadly. "Excellent choice, Mrs. Eleanor. It's an apartment with very good energy. The previous owner lived here for 15 years. She only left because she moved to another state to be with her daughter." We talked about the paperwork, about the necessary documents. He gave me the contact information for a trustworthy lawyer who could handle all the legal aspects. We left the apartment and Rose hugged me tightly right there on the street. "You did it. You're going to have your own home." "I'm going to have my own home," I repeated, a huge smile spreading across my face. We went back to Rose's apartment, euphoric, making decorating plans, talking about what furniture I'd need to buy. It was then, in the midst of all that happiness, that I decided to turn on my phone. I had 47 missed calls from Michael, 23 from Jessica, and over 60 text messages. The first messages were worried. "Mom, where are you? Please answer. We're desperate here. At least let us know you're okay." But soon the tone changed. "Mom, this is ridiculous. Stop the drama. We need to sort this out." And the last few were almost threatening. "If you don't answer, I'm going to call the police. This is abandonment. You're going to have to come back." Rose read the messages over my shoulder and snorted in disgust. "Abandonment? As if you abandoned a child. You're 65 years old. You're an independent adult." "I need to talk to him, but by text. I don't want to hear his voice yet." I sat on the sofa and wrote a long message, choosing each word carefully. "Michael, I am fine. I am in a safe place with a friend. I needed to leave that house to regain my sanity. For 18 years, I lived feeling like a burden, and what happened was the final straw. I have bought my own apartment. I will be moving in next week. This is not a punishment for you. It is a decision of self-love. When I am settled, I will send you the address. I love you, but I need to love me more. Mom." I hit send before I could change my mind. I saw the 2 check marks indicating the message was delivered. Then they turned blue, showing he'd read it. The 3 dots appeared, indicating he was typing. They disappeared, appeared again, disappeared again. Finally, the reply came. "Mom, this is crazy. You can't just buy an apartment like that. Who's going to take care of you? Who will help you if you get sick? And Jessica is furious. She says you owe her an apology for the embarrassment at the mall. We need you to come back so we can talk about this like adults." I read the message 3 times. No apology from him. No acknowledgement of what they did. Just more manipulation, more attempts to make me feel guilty. "Are you going to reply?" Rose asked. "I am." I wrote a short, clear response. "Michael, I am 65, not 95. I can take perfectly good care of myself, and I do not owe Jessica an apology. She tried to spend my life savings without my permission. If anyone owes an apology, it's you 2. We will talk when I am ready. Mom." After sending it, I turned my phone off again. I didn't want to read any more attempts at manipulation. Sunday was a day of absolute peace. Rose and I went to church in the morning, something I hadn't been able to do for years because Sundays were when Jessica hosted her big family lunch and I had to cook for everyone. Afterward, we walked through the flea market looking for secondhand furniture. I found a beautiful little dining table made of solid wood for $20. The vendor helped me get it into a taxi. I also bought a set of pans in good condition for $10, some plates, glasses, and bath towels. Rose insisted on buying me a new set of sheets as a gift. "So you can start your new life with new sheets with no history," she said as she paid. I couldn't hold back the tears of gratitude, of emotion, of relief. We stored everything in the storage unit in Rose's building, waiting for the day I could move into my new apartment. On Monday morning, I went to the office of the lawyer the real estate agent had recommended. His name was Mr. Morris, a man in his 50s, serious but kind. He reviewed all my documents, checked the legal status of the apartment, and explained every step of the process. "Mrs. Eleanor, everything is in order. The apartment has no liens, no outstanding issues. We can close the purchase this coming Friday. Are you sure you want to pay in cash? You could apply for financing if you'd prefer not to use so much of your capital." "No, I want to pay in cash. I want it to be completely mine, no debts, no payments. I've waited my whole life for this moment." "I understand perfectly. Then, on Friday at 10 a.m., we'll meet here to sign the deed. You'll need to bring payment for $65,000, which includes all fees and transfer taxes, less than half of my savings. I was going to do it. I was really going to do it. I left the office feeling stronger than ever. I walked through the city, looking at everything with new eyes, the shops, the buildings, the people. Everything seemed different when you were building your own life and not just surviving in someone else's. When I got back to Rose's apartment, I briefly turned on my phone to check messages. Michael had sent just one more message, and the tone had completely changed. "Mom, I talked to Jessica. She's willing to apologize if you apologize too. We can forget this whole misunderstanding. If you come back today, we miss you. The house isn't the same without you. Please think carefully before you make an irreversible mistake." An irreversible mistake. As if buying my own home was a mistake. As if reclaiming my dignity was something to regret. I didn't reply. I had nothing more to say to him at that moment. The next few days were a mix of nervousness and excitement. Rose and I continued to buy things for the apartment. We found a small but comfortable sofa at a clearance sale for $50, a used full-size bed in excellent condition for $35, a bookshelf, some curtains, a bedside lamp. I also went to the bank to arrange everything for the payment. The manager, a young woman named Claire, was very attentive. "Mrs. Eleanor, that's a considerable amount. Are you certain this is a legitimate transaction? We don't want you to be a victim of fraud." "It's not fraud, my dear. I'm buying my first home at 65. Claire's face lit up. "Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations. My grandmother also bought her own place at 68 after she left my grandfather. She always said they were the best years of her life." Those words filled me with hope. It wasn't too late. It was never too late to start over. On Thursday night, the eve of signing the deed, Michael showed up at Rose's building. I don't know how he got the address. He probably found out through a mutual acquaintance or followed some trail. He buzzed the intercom insistently until Rose answered. "Who is it?" "It's Michael, Eleanor's son. I need to speak with my mother." I heard his voice through the speaker. Rose looked at me, asking with her eyes what I wanted to do. I took a deep breath. "Let him come up, but you stay here with me." Rose nodded. A few minutes later, Michael was knocking at the door. When I opened it, I was shocked to see how worn out he looked. Deep dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled clothes, messy hair. He didn't look like the successful engineer he pretended to be. "Mom." His voice cracked. "Michael," I replied, not moving from the doorway, not inviting him in. "Can we talk?" "We can talk right here." He sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "Mom, this has gotten out of control. I know Jessica and I were wrong. We shouldn't have taken your card without permission. But you didn't have to leave like that, without a proper word, leaving us so worried." "Michael," I left a note explaining exactly why I left. It wasn't an impulse. It was necessary. "But we're a family, Mom. Families forgive, families solve problems together. not by running away. Families also respect each other, and you haven't respected me for years. I was just so used to it that I stopped noticing. We didn't respect you? Mom, we gave you a roof, food, everything you needed. You gave me a room the size of a closet. You made me feel like every bite of food was a favor. You treated me like an employee, not a mother. And when I had money saved from 45 years of work, you tried to steal it. We weren't going to steal it. It was just for a few things for the house where you also live. $150,000 isn't a few things, Michael. It's theft, and I never authorized it. He fell silent, processing my words. I saw his eyes darting around, calculating his next move. And the money? How much do you have left after buying this apartment? And there it was. The real reason he was here. It wasn't concern for me. It was concern for my money. That's none of your business. Of course it is. I'm your son, your only family. I have a right to know how you're managing your finances. At your age, you can make errors in judgment. At my age, I have more experience and wisdom than you do. I've managed my money for decades without any errors. I'm not about to start now. Mom, that money is also partly mine. I supported you for 18 years. I gave you a house, food, utilities. That has a value. If we calculate it all, maybe you don't owe me anything, but I certainly don't owe you anything either. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Rose stepped forward. I think you better leave now, young man. Your mother has made her decision clear, and you have no right to her money. You stay out of this. This is between my mother and me. This is my house, and I can get involved whenever I want, and I'm asking you to leave, or I will call security. Michael looked at me with a mixture of anger and desperation. Is this what you want, Mom? To let strangers come between us? To destroy our family? Rose is not a stranger. She's been my friend for over 40 years. She was by my side when you didn't even exist. And no, Michael, I am not destroying the family. The family was destroyed when you stopped seeing me as your mother and started seeing me as an ATM. I can't believe you're doing this. Jessica was right about you. She said you were selfish, that you only thought about yourself. And I defended you. What a fool I was. Those words hurt more than I wanted to admit, but they also confirmed everything I already knew. Jessica had been poisoning my son against me for years, and he had believed her. If that's what you think of me, then it's better that I get out of your life. I don't want to be a burden to anyone. Fine, perfect. Go to your apartment, live alone, but don't come running back when you get sick or need help. Don't come back when you realize you've made a mistake. Michael, I called out. He stopped but didn't turn around. I love you. I will always love you. You're my son, but I can no longer live by sacrificing my dignity for your comfort. I hope one day you'll understand. He didn't answer. He just kept walking toward the elevator. I watched the doors close, taking my son away. Rose hugged me as I finally allowed myself to cry. I cried for the 18 lost years, for the broken relationship, for the family that could have been but never was. But I also cried with relief because I knew, deep in my heart, that I had made the right decision. I barely slept that night. I tossed and turned on the sofa bed, replaying the conversation with Michael, wondering if I had been too harsh, if I should have given him another chance. But every time I thought about going back, I remembered the 18 years of small humiliations. The times I felt invisible, the attempted theft, all the cruel words disguised as truth. No, I couldn't go back. For the first time in my life, I had to choose myself. Friday dawned bright and beautiful, as if the universe was celebrating with me. Rose and I dressed in our best clothes. This is one of the most important days of your life, Eleanor. You're not going through it alone, she said, adjusting her scarf. We arrived at the lawyer's office 15 minutes early. The apartment's owner was already there, a pleasant woman around 70, along with Mr. Morris. "Good morning, Mrs. Eleanor. Ready to become a homeowner?" the lawyer asked with a smile. "More than ready." The process took almost 2 hours. I signed so many papers I lost count. The deed, declarations, receipts. Mr. Morris patiently explained every document. When it was time to hand over the cashier's check for $65,000, my hand trembled slightly. It was almost half of everything I had. But I looked at Rose, who was smiling proudly, and I remembered why I was doing this. I placed the check on the table. The owner reviewed it, nodded with satisfaction, and Mr. Morris officially processed it. "Very well, Mrs. Eleanor. With this, we conclude the transaction. This apartment is now legally yours. Here is the deed in your name, the keys, and the condominium documents. Congratulations on your new home." I took the keys and held them as if they were the most valuable treasure in the world. And to me, those keys represented freedom, dignity, a new beginning. "Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you for everything," I said, my voice thick with emotion. We left the office and Rose practically shouted with excitement on the street. "You did it! You have your own home! At 65, you've taken your life back." We spun around on the sidewalk like two giddy schoolgirls. People walking by stared. Some smiled, seeing our joy. An older woman stopped and asked what we were celebrating. "I just bought my first apartment," I said with pride. "How wonderful! Congratulations, dear. It's never too late to make your dreams come true." We went straight to the apartment. I wanted to see it again now that it was officially mine. I put the key in the lock with trembling hands. I turned it and pushed the door open. The apartment was exactly as I remembered it. Empty, clean, smelling fresh, and full of light. But now it felt different. Now it was my space, my home. I walked slowly through each room, touching the walls, imagining where I would put each piece of furniture, visualizing my life there. "It's perfect, Eleanor. Absolutely perfect," Rose said with tears in her eyes. "Yes, it is." We spent the rest of the day cleaning the apartment from top to bottom. We wanted it to be spotless before we brought in the furniture. On Saturday, Rose organized a full-on moving operation. She called her nephew, Peter, who had a small moving truck. He arrived with 2 friends to help. "Mrs. Eleanor, any friend of Aunt Rose's is a friend of ours. You just need to cover the gas. We're happy to help," Peter said with a genuine smile. I gave them $100 despite their protests. It was the least I could do for their help and kindness. By midday, the apartment was fully furnished. It wasn't luxurious or modern, but it was cozy and functional. The curtains gave it a warm touch. The few photographs I had framed gave it personality. My little plants on the kitchen balcony brought it to life. Rose insisted on staying to help me set up the kitchen. We organized pans, plates, glasses, and cutlery. Every cabinet had its purpose. "Tomorrow, we'll go to the market and fill up your fridge," she said as she wiped down the shelves. "Rose, you've already done so much for me. And I'll keep doing it. That's what friends are for. Besides, you'd do the same for me." She was right. I would. That night, my first night in my own apartment, Rose left after making sure 1,000 times that I would be okay. I wasn't scared. I stood in the middle of my living room, looking around, still not quite believing that all of this was mine. I made a cup of tea in my kitchen. I sat in my armchair by the window and looked outside. The park was lit with soft lights. A few people were walking their dogs. Others were just enjoying the cool night air. For the first time in 18 years, I felt no anxiety. There was no tension. There was no fear of footsteps approaching with complaints. There was only peace. I let myself cry one more time, but these were different tears. They were tears of relief, gratitude, and hope. I had done it. I had saved myself. Sunday was the most peaceful day I'd had in years. I woke up without an alarm, letting my body rest as much as it needed. It was 10 in the morning when I finally opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was the ceiling of my own room, in my own home. I got up slowly, without rushing. I made coffee in my kitchen using the coffee maker I'd found at the flea market. The aroma filled the entire apartment and made me smile. I took my cup to the window and just stood there for an hour, just watching, thinking, feeling. Rose arrived at noon as she had promised, carrying a huge pot of chicken soup. "So you'll have food for the whole week. I also brought fresh bread from the bakery." We had lunch together at my new table, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her family, about her plans to visit her daughter next month, about the soap opera she was watching. Simple, everyday conversations, beautiful in their normality. "Have you heard anything from Michael?" Rose asked, cautiously, as we washed the dishes. "No, and I don't expect to hear from him soon. He made it very clear that he thinks I was selfish. He needs time to process it, or maybe he'll never understand. Either way, there's nothing I can do." "Does it hurt?" "A lot. He's my son. It will always hurt. But the pain of losing him is less than the pain of losing myself." Rose nodded understandingly, and we didn't speak of it again. The following days were about adjusting. I learned the building's routines. I met a few neighbors. I discovered the nearby shops. There was a small market 2 blocks away, a delicious bakery 3 blocks away, and a pharmacy on the corner. I created a simple but satisfying routine. I'd wake up early, make coffee, and have breakfast looking out at the park. Then I'd do my chores at my own pace. In the afternoons, I would read or watch television. In the evenings, I'd cook small meals that I enjoyed. A week after I moved in, I received a text from Michael. "Mom, Jessica and I are separating. You were right about her. All she wanted was money. Now that she realizes she won't get anything, she's filed for divorce. I'm so sorry for everything. Can I come visit you?" I read and reread the message several times. Part of me wanted to run and hug him, but the part that had learned to protect myself urged caution. I showed it to Rose during our Wednesday lunch. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to let him come, but with clear boundaries. He's my son and I love him. But I can't be the mother who sacrifices everything anymore." I wrote a careful reply. "Michael, I'm sorry to hear about the separation, but perhaps it's for the best. You can visit me on Sunday at 3. Just you. We'll talk calmly. I love you, Mom." On Sunday, he arrived right on time. When I opened the door, I saw a different Michael Thinner, more gray in his hair, tired eyes, but they were softer. "Hi, Mom." "Hi, son." We hugged at the door, a long, healing hug. I showed him the apartment. He walked around, looking at everything intently. "It's beautiful, Mom, small but cozy. It has your style." We sat at the table by the window. I served coffee and cookies. We talked for hours. Michael told me about the divorce, about how Jessica only cared about money and status. He told me he had started therapy. My therapist made me see that I repeated the same pattern as my father with Jessica. "I let her mistreat you because I just wanted peace in my marriage. I sacrificed my relationship with you. I'm sorry, Mom." "Michael, acknowledging it is the first step you can change. Can you forgive me?" "I've already forgiven you. Forgiveness isn't for you. It's for me to free myself from resentment. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or going back to how things were. It means moving forward with healthier boundaries." He nodded. Understanding our relationship after that day was a slow but genuine reconstruction. Michael started visiting me every 2 weeks, always respecting my space. He would ask about my life, my activities, my friends. He actually listened. Today, a year after I moved, I'm sitting in my armchair by the window, watching the sunset over the park. I still have over $80,000 saved in the bank, untouched. My apartment is fully paid off. My small pension covers my basic expenses perfectly. I live simply, but with dignity. Michael visits me every 2 weeks. Our relationship isn't perfect. It probably never will be, but it's honest. He's learning to be a better son. And I'm learning to be a mother with healthy boundaries. Rose is still my rock, my best friend, my chosen family. We have lunch together every Wednesday, alternating between our apartments. I also joined a craft class at the community center. I met a wonderful group of women all rediscovering who they are besides being mothers or wives. I started walking in the park every morning, a half hour a day that has become my sacred time. I listen to the birds, feel the fresh air, watch the city wake up. I have plans to take a small trip next year. Nothing extravagant, but something I never allowed myself to do. My life isn't extraordinary. I don't have luxuries or spectacular adventures. But I have something I didn't have for 18 years. Peace. I have my own space, where no one makes me feel like I'm in the way. I have my own money that no one tries to steal. I have my own life that no one controls. Sometimes I look back and wonder what it would have been like if I'd had the courage to leave sooner. But then, I remember that every experience, even the painful ones, brought me here, to this moment of peace. I'm 66 years old now. I don't know how many years I have left, but I know that every day I live in this apartment, in my own space, with my dignity intact, is a day that is truly mine. It's a day lived for me, and that, after a lifetime of living for others, is more valuable than any amount in the bank. I learned that it's never too late to start over. It's never too late to choose yourself. It's never too late to say no to what diminishes you and yes to what makes you grow. I learned that true love doesn't demand you erase yourself, that real family doesn't make you feel like a burden, that dignity has no price. And I learned, most of all, that sometimes the greatest courage isn't in staying and enduring, it's in having the strength to leave and rebuild. I look out the window and see a mother in the park playing with her daughter. The little girl laughs loudly as she runs. The mother smiles with genuine love. And I think that's how love should be. Light, joyful, reciprocal. I pick up my cup of tea, still warm, and smile to myself. I smile for the journey, for the battles won, for the freedom conquered. I smile because finally, at 66, I learned to put my own name at the top of the list of people I need to take care of. And that, I discovered, isn't selfishness. It's survival. It's self-love. It's justice. It's simply how it should have been all along. Now, if you enjoyed this story, go ahead and click subscribe and tell me in the comments what part left you speechless. Oh, and don't forget to become a member to get access to exclusive videos that I don't post here. I'll be waiting for you there.